Hi, y'all.
Welcome to the MustacheAndTheBeard.com, Two Grey Geeks.
Changing the world one post at a time.
My name is Louis Matos. I am the Mustache, and really excited, and because I'm sitting here next to you, my bestest buddy, my PIC, the one I adore for 40 years and more.
Eli Figueroa, also known as The Beard, coming to you live from sunny Puerto Rico. And you know what makes Puerto Rico sunny for me? Is that you're here. You're here.
Mutual Admiration Society starting here today.
Yes.
All right, so why the Satanic Rites? Well, we're going to do, for those of you that didn't know, Autopsy. This is Autopsy number 11. Tell me, do you remember what an autopsy video is?
Yes, it's where we take it apart, we cut it open, we dissect it. That was the word that I was looking for.
Okay.
We dissect it, we open it up, we take everything out, and we examine it minutely. Then we put it back, sew it up, and
hopefully we have
hopefully we have something to say.
All right, and why the Satanic Rites of Dracula? Do you have any idea why we're doing it, other than that it's a Hammer movie?
Well, one, you know how I am about Hammer Dracula movies.
Okay.
Okay. You know, I'm a huge fan of Christopher Lee, Dracula, Hammer, Peter Cushing. Forget about it. I'm in heaven. And this is one of those movies. And matter of fact, this is the last time Christopher Lee played Dracula in a Hammer.
This movie is not beloved by most people.
No. And I can understand why.
It's considered the least interesting, with the weakest scenes and weakest dialogue. But you know what? Challenge accepted. They're all valid points.
Yes, absolutely.
But there are some pluses, which we will enumerate thusly. Moving right along, we start off with a little background like we always do. The Satanic Rites of Dracula is a 1973 British Hammer horror film produced by Hammer Film Productions. It is number 8 of the Hammer Dracula series, and number 7 with Christopher Lee as Dracula.
Right.
This is only the 3rd with Peter Cushing as Van Helsing. The screenplay was written by Don Houghton, a writer for Doctor Who, which I'm sure you knew. And it is a genre mashup of horror, science fiction, and secret agents.
Secret agents.
Okay, so although production began in 1972, the working title was originally Dracula is Dead and Well and Living in London. Christopher Lee was not happy.
He hated it.
Yeah, in a press conference, he says, "I'm doing it under protest. I think it is fatuous, pointless, absurd, and I can think of 20 other big words to use." Now he didn't. The end part I added, but but he basically fatuous. I was like, I'm gonna have to look that one up. Yeah. So it was. The title was too comedic for him. So So fatuous means inane, nonsensical, puerile, childish, ridiculous. So it was too silly for him.
And you know what? He's right.
He's absolutely right.
I mean, it's okay if you admit that that's just your working title. Plenty of movies have a working title, and it has nothing to do later on with the actual title that they go with. That's okay. But if they were meaning to take this seriously, that's a ridiculous title.
Yes. All right. So totally get why he was annoyed. Production wrapped on January 3rd, 1973. 15 years to the day after Dracula, the first one, finished shooting.
Dracula.
Yeah, so it was also Cushing and Lee's last Hammer movie film that they would make together.
Although they remained lifelong friends.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. It wasn't like they got mad at each other. I'm not working with you anymore. Okay, so before we move on, I wanted to move on to taglines. Okay, because, we like to generally... So, all these taglines, I'm going to warn you, they're about as bad as they always are. And there's one, though, that I think is good. You can choose which one it is. The king of the undead marries the queen of the zombies. That's tagline number 1. Vampire and vampire hunter meet in one final bloody conflict. I think that's trying to do the Dracula.
I can see that.
That one's not terrible.
That's not terrible.
The Masters of Menace, Lee and Cushing. Now, mind you, are they the Masters of Menace? They are dead, but they're alive. They're dead now, but not at that time.
Well, I guess the only thing he could think of to match Masters, the Emin Masters, was Menace. I wouldn't call Cushing's character a menace.
No.
And neither is he dead.
No. All right, so there is no hope left for these taglines.
That was actually one of them.
There is no hope left is the tagline. And I added for these taglines because they're horrible. Evil begets evil on the Sabbath of the undead. I don't even need to look at you, I know. I can feel the hate. Last one. The king of the undead marries the queen of zombies.
It was the first one.
Oh, what was it? The first one?
Yeah. Somebody ripped off the first one.
Oh, no, that's it.
Somebody ripped off the first one.
Yeah, so those
There
are...
are no zombies in this movie.
I know.
The only one I liked was the one, I think it was the second one.
Vampire and vampire hunter meet in one final bloody conflict.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
Because it's actually true.
True, it's actually true. Yeah, that's not bad.
All right, that's it for taglines.
Thank God.
All right. Let's start with the cast, because that's where we usually go, and then we do the plot.
All right.
All right, the cast is Christopher Lee as Count Dracula.
Yay!
And Dee Denham. Oh, is it? Okay. That is. Well, let's look at how it's listed in the thing. Okay, so he's in, we know who Count Dracula is, right? So Count Dracula is the vampire, the lead. Okay. And Peter Cushing, he's character number 2. But this time he's playing Lorimer Van Helsing.
Right, because in the last movie, which was Dracula 1972 AD, they updated the series, right? So he played Lorimer Van Helsing in that movie as well, the descendant, direct descendant of Abraham.
There you go. All right, and he's an occult expert.
Just like apparently it gets passed on from father to son.
It runs in the family.
It runs in the family.
They could have just said vampire hunter. All right, Michael Coles plays Inspector Murray of Scotland Yard.
He's also a holdover from the previous.
Yes.
Dracula 1972.
All right. Then we have William Franklin. Peter Torrance is a Secret Service agent. All right. So now that's where we have Secret Service getting involved.
That's where we have MI6.
All right. And then Richard Vernon. He plays Colonel Matthews. Head of the Secret Service.
Right.
So. That's where we get the spies.
That's where the secret agent part comes in.
Now, Joanna Lumley.
The glorious Joanna Lumley.
And now she is playing a role that Stephanie Beacham was in before.
Right.
And they chose her because Stephanie Beacham, even though Stephanie Beacham is gorgeous, absolutely stunning.
Yeah, she's from Sequest.
Yes, she's got a bit of a crabby kind of demeanor, kind of like resting bee face.
Which what made her perfect for the Doctor in Sequest.
But here, and in Dynasty and all those soap operas that were on TV and stuff, and again, perfectly gorgeous. But Joanna Lumley,
and she's a great actress too. I mean, there's nothing to say about her acting.
Yeah, it's just that they figured they wanted somebody nicer or somebody
sympathetic. And Joanna Lumley is an incredible. She's actually Dame Joanna Lumley.
Oh, is
she was knighted? Yes.
All right.
So she's an incredible actress, and she's very good looking, and she's extremely young. If you know her from Absolutely Fabulous and all that stuff.
That's where I was like, I know this woman. Why?
Yes.
Where was she in? What was she in? And
she was one of the Bond girls on Her Majesty's Secret Service, the Allergy Clinic. One of the girls in there. She was also the last Avengers girl when they did the new Avengers. She played Purdy, and absolutely. Oh, she also did a show with David McCallum called Sapphire and Steel, a sci-fi show. So she's
done a lot of stuff.
She's done a lot of stuff, a lot of movies,
and some TV stuff,
and charities. Huge. She's credited as getting for decades the Gurkhas fight for the British, and they wanted the right to immigrate to England, and they were being denied, despite the fact that they were fighting and dying for them. And she's credited as changing all that, and that the Gurkhas can now, if they choose, upon retiring from the service, they can now immigrate to England.
Awesome. And in this movie, she's Jessica Van Helsing. She's essentially his assistant, though.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because she does some investigating of her own.
Right.
All right.
And then she's, of course, she gets to be the damsel in distress. Because, I mean, let's face it, this is a horror movie.
Rolling right along, we have Valerie Van Oost. She plays Jane. She's the Secretary of Secret Service.
Right.
Okay. She plays a vital role, but I'm not going to say what she plays.
No spoilers.
Yeah, we try not to. Barbara Yu Ling is Qin Yang, the cult leader. And we know she's the cult leader because right in the beginning...
It starts out with it's called Satanic Rites of Dracula, and it starts out with a satanic rite.
All right, and Barbara Yu Ling, or Qin Yang, is right there. All right. Maggie Fitzgerald. Now, I'm just going to say the names of these three lovely women. Maggie Fitzgerald, Pauline Pert, Finwala O'Shannon as the Vampire Girls. Okay. And that's self-explanatory. They don't really have an essential part other than the fact that it's my favorite part of the movie.
No, and also, it's also kind of like, in the Matt Helm movies, you had the Slay Girls, and in the Roger Moore Bond movies, you always had these bevy of women. You weren't sure. Yeah, you weren't sure what their function was, but there were always this crowd of women, and in effect, we have that here. Only the vampires.
All right, and then Maya Martin is the last person I'm going to talk about because she's the topless girl on the altar at the beginning of the movie. All right, so
we get to see a lot of her, literally.
Except in those versions that they blur her out. They blur her body parts out. All right. So other than that,
when you saw it, was it graphic or blurred?
no, I saw it graphic.
Me too.
Yeah, but I also went to check it out on Elvira's, and she had blurred those parts out. She goes, we've blown our blurring budget out on this movie.
Yeah, I was a little surprised. I was a little surprised.
That they actually
I
show
had
something that is akin to a satanic rite.
The thing is that I saw this movie in '73. The last time I watched this movie was in 1973, and so my memory wasn't. I'd forgotten. They had kind of blurred with all the other Hammer, and in early Hammer Dracula movies were very careful not to show any cleavage, but not nudity. So when the movie started, and I was like, whoa! Well, that took me by surprise.
Now it's time for the plot. Hopefully you remember the plot.
Okay, the plot is this. A Secret Service agent, an MI6 agent, has discovered that 4 VIPs are involved in a satanic cult. Now, the 4 VIPs are really VIPs. I mean, one is a peer of the realm, one is a general, one's a cabinet minister, and the other one's a world-famous scientist. So they're being involved in this in a satanic cult. The question comes up: does this compromise them? Because they're leaders and we're privy with valuable information. So he's investigating, and in the course of the investigation, he sends information back to his superiors, but he gets killed. Right? So now the superiors in MI6 are concerned because these aren't the kind of men that you just go and accuse of something, I mean, one is a peer of the realm, okay? Another one's a general. Another one's a cabinet minister. You have to be careful. And so they feel that they have to go outside of the service in investigating. So they bring in a Scotland Yard inspector. I think his name is Murray, right?
Yes.
Now Murray, because we're talking about a satanic cult, because we're talking about the occult, and because he's friends with Van Helsing, he naturally goes to Van Helsing. He brings Van Helsing in on it. And then Van Helsing, of course, comes with his granddaughter, which is his assistant. So now Van Helsing informs them that it's not only is it a satanic cult, but that they're dabbling in vampirism, right? And that he also informs us that he knows the scientists. He's friends with the scientists. So he goes to meet with the scientists while the inspector continues his investigations with Van Helsing's granddaughter. And Van Helsing uncovers that the scientist has created a new strain of bubonic plague that can wipe out the entire planet. Meanwhile, they discover that the bad guys, now, by this point we know the bad guys are the 4 VIPs, the Asian woman that's the head of the cult leader, vampire women, right, and henchmen. You also have these motorcycle riding with fur vests, motorcycle with silenced guns.
Exactly.
You have henchmen. They discover that all of them work for a multi-millionaire named Dee Denham, whom no one has seen. There are no pictures of him. No one knows what he looks like. And he lives in the top floor of a skyscraper, the Denham building. Okay? So basically what you have is these two forces at war with each other. Didi Denim and his cult, his cronies, his minions, and you have Van Helsing and Scotland Yard and MI6, and the two are at war for the planet, because the fate of the world rests in the outcome of this battle. And I'm not going to tell you any more because I want you to watch more.
Yes, excellent. Good job.
It's happening right now in London. New York could be next. Or Paris, or Rome, or Tokyo. It's happening right now to this girl. Perhaps it's your turn next.
We are not dealing with ordinary criminals. The real force is more sinister, more obscene than any monstrosity you can think of. Lord of corruption, master of the undead. Count Dracula.
Nothing is too vile. Nothing is too dreadful. You need to know the terror, the horror.
Basically, we've already done everything that we normally do. Now it's up to dislikes and likes.
Likes and dislikes,
Dislikes and likes.
Yeah, because I like ending on a positive note.
Absolutely. So go ahead, take it away.
Okay. I'm a huge fan of Hammer movies. I'm a huge fan of Hammer Dracula movies. I'm a huge fan of Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing. Right. However, I did not approve their updating the Hammer movies. Okay. I really did. My least favorite Hammer Dracula movie is Dracula 1972 AD. Right. I really didn't like them updating. Unless it still bothers me, I miss the gothicness of when it's a period piece, right? And I still miss it with this movie, but I'm a little more accepting simply because of the secret agent aspect of it, because you couldn't have that if it was a period piece. So, and I love secret agent movies, and I enjoy this mashup that they attempted to do over here. So I'm I'm more forgiving with this movie than I was with Dracula 1972 AD, but still I miss the gothicness of a period piece, right? So
there's no castle in this movie.
Yeah, and then it takes place. I mean, okay, you have the house, right? But so much of it takes place in the city, somehow it doesn't gel. I'm finding it funny because like the guy who wrote it wrote for Doctor Who, and usually they're very good at setting the mood,
time wise.
And also, like for example, if it could be today, but then he'll make it taking place in the country, not in the city. So that bothers me. That bothers me not a lot, but it bothers me a bit. Another thing that bothers me is there's a lack of logic in a lot of these movies. I realize that you can't be too. These are movies. It is fantasy, but still, you go to Van Helsing because he's an expert. Where did his expertise come in? he let his team, if he's telling you that we're fighting vampires, he lets his team go out. He didn't give them holy water.
No.
He didn't give them crucifixes. No. He didn't prepare them at all. And sure enough, they get killed and their butts kicked because he didn't prepare. Meanwhile, he's running around with a crucifix. He didn't prepare his granddaughter, but he's running around with a crucifix. He's got a gun with a silver bullet. It don't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. And then the other thing is that I'm sorry because I really, you know how much I adore Christopher Lee. I really do. In this movie, he could have phoned in his performance. It is so obvious that he does not want to be there. It is so obvious that he's not liking it. He's not,
not enjoying it.
He's not enjoying it. It is so obvious and it hurts. It hurts because this is the last time that he, as Dracula, is going to be confronting Peter Cushing as Van Helsing. The last time these two best friends are going to be playing these two iconic roles, they should have been chewing up the scenery. They should have been playing it for all it's worth, hamming it up, and instead it's like let's just do it and get out of here. And so that.
When do I get paid?
That takes a lot out of it for me. There are a lot of things that I like, but that was quite a bit chopping away at like a perfect score. Okay, what did I like about this movie? The Hammer movie. It's a Hammer Dracula movie. It's got Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing. Okay, they could be sitting there reading the phone book, and I would watch this movie. Okay. On top of that, right? Joanna Lumley. I'm a fan. I'm an admirer of her. First, because she's beautiful, and here she's really young. She's like a baby in this movie compared to like how she looks in Absolutely Fabulous.
No, right, exactly. She's in her 50s and Absolutely Fabulous.
So, and she's got ginger hair in this one. I loved it. So, and I kind of like Inspector Murray. I would have preferred they gave him a haircut, but this is 1973.
I know. And long hair is in.
It's in, but
even the professional inspector.
Yes. So, but I did like Murray. I think because he's got really the leading man part because Van Helsing's kind of old, so he's got the action part. He's the one that's got to be running around, and I kind of liked him. I did like it, and he had this thing that he would do an expression, that would make you in the middle of a danger. He put an expression on his face, and you start cracking up. I thought that was kind of cool. So I did enjoy that. I enjoyed the mashup between Secret Agent and horror. I didn't enjoy it. I thought it could maybe have been a little better done, but I really admire Hammer for trying, for giving us. And if you're going to update Dracula, then this was the perfect thing. Turn Dracula into a James Bond villain. I mean, that if you're going to do that, if you're going to update Dracula, then that's the perfect thing to do. Turn him into a Bond villain. So I enjoyed that. The action sequences were pretty well done.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I have no complaints about the action. I have really no complaints about the acting, other than
Christopher Lee.
And if you're not a Christopher Lee fan, you may not catch it. Because he's professional enough to do his job. But if you're a fan, you know, if you're a fan of Christopher Lee, you know when he's enthusiastic and when he's not enthusiastic, and this one he's not enthusiastic. But the acting, Peter Cushing always manages to
Lee always complained about the contacts, the red contact lenses.
Yes.
He always complained that they would sting him so profoundly that he would not want to do it. But he still kept coming back, even though, so there was some professionalism and love. So in this one, yeah, you're right. It's like,
but overall, I gotta admit that I like the movie more than I dislike it. I'm sorry if I seem too down on it. And my dislikes may not be what other people feel, because a lot of it comes from my familiarity with Christopher Lee, my familiarity with the Hammer Dracula movies. So if you're seeing this, for the first time, and I've never seen another Hammer Dracula movie, you may love it. You may walk away singing it's crazy. And all the bad reviews that it got, that I could see, were people comparing it to the older Hammer Dracula movies.
no, of course.
They were saying it wasn't. And
It's not Horror of Dracula 19. What was it? 60? No.
1959.
58.
1958.
Yeah, 1958.
Now, a lot of the critics said that they thought they liked it better than the Dracula of 1972.
Oh, definitely.
AD, yeah. But they really didn't like that one. But this one, I think the one made it a little bit better is that whole secret agent thing. I think it really gave it a different twist. So, if I got to rate this movie, I'm afraid I can only give it 3.5 Grey Geeks.
I'm telling you, you must be looking at my stuff.
No, I'm not. I don't have my glasses on, so I can't read it.
Good.
I'll give it a 3.5, which is saying that it's pretty good. It's very good. 3 is good, 4 is excellent. So somewhere, I recommend the movie.
It's very good.
It's not perfect. It's far from perfect, but I recommend the movie.
Cool. I'm gonna go straight to my dislikes and likes, and they're closely knit together. Because one of my complaints, actually my major complaint, is that it doesn't have a great rewatch value. Like, you watch it the first time, you pretty much are okay with not watching it again.
Yeah.
However, I'm going to go to my like is the fact that after watching it the second time, I understood it a lot more. So that's why I was like, I don't like it, but after watching it, like, oh yeah, now I understood that whole secret agent component, taking over the world thing,
Yeah.
So yeah, although, and what I mean by it doesn't have a great rewatch value, it's like, okay, once you know the story,
That's it.
there's no secrets. The reason why it took a rewatch is because the other complaint was it's an overly complex plot for Dracula. You know what I mean? That Dracula is plotting, taking over the world, and he's using a cult. It's like, I don't get it. All right, now after watching it the second time, I'm like, okay, I get it. So yeah, you're gonna have to put your believability to the side, because there are certain parts of the plot that are a little more complex that you're like scratching your head about. Like you said, it's like, did they really need to do that? Did they really need Peter Cushing to be, Van Helsing? Especially when they're ill-prepared when they go into the den of the monster.
Yeah, I was so surprised. They go and I'm like, you don't have a crucifix? You don't got any holy water?
Now, I love that scene because that is a suspenseful scene. Having Van Helsing's granddaughter going in there, she's like the most courageous person. You know, I don't want to share too much, but she's courageous because it's near the climax. And it's the best scene in the movie, honestly. You know, and it's them versus the vampires. It's absolutely a suspenseful part. And it's like, if there was any doubt, I don't think you're doubting anymore. So yeah, so that's where my whole likes and dislikes are kind of connected. I absolutely love Jessica Van Helsing. I love that character. I would watch a whole series of Jessica Van Helsing.
Yeah, they could have spun her off.
They could have, absolutely.
They could have spun her off.
If they could have gotten Christopher Lee to do another Dracula and have, you know,
with her
being the lead, it would have been something else because then you don't need Dracula anymore.
They should have done another Dracula movie with Dracula's daughter. You know, Christopher Lee could introduce Dracula's daughter. And then continue the series with Dracula's daughter and Van Helsing's granddaughter.
Awesome. Yeah.
Too bad we weren't, you know...
we weren't writing those things.
Yeah, certainly not in 1973.
Okay, so my rating is absolutely 3.5 Grey Geeks as well. It is better than good. I would call it very good. A fun movie.
Yes.
And so, you know, I absolutely love the secret agent component of this.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, so in that respect, 3.5 Grey Geeks.
And the henchmen are ridiculous, but they're ridiculous the way they're ridiculous in
every
spy movie, you know?
They're carbon copies. They may as well be clones. Okay. So we have come to the part of the show where we always get to the end, and I always, before we do our closing, I look to you and say, do you have a wise missive, oh gray and bearded one?
No, but I have a joke.
Okay.
These three women were talking, these three older women were talking about their sons. These three Catholic older women were talking about their sons. And the first woman is bragging and she says, my son's a priest, and whenever he walks into a room, everybody calls him father. And the other woman says, my son is a cardinal, and every time he walks in the room, they call him Monsignor. And she says, the third woman says, my son is 6'4", blonde, blue eyes, with the figure of an Adonis. When he walks into the room, all the women say, oh my God.
Okay. There you have it. With that having been said, we've come to the end of another video.
Yes. Thank God.
We want to ask you to please interact with our post. Please comment, post a like, and share it. Share this with people that you think might enjoy our sense of humor. We say thanks for watching. My name is Louis Matos. I am the Mustache.
Junior Figueroa, I be the beard.
We say see you later.
Hasta vista.
Take it easy.
And peace.